robbery investigation, though they're not sure why he ran. And Jen Westhoven's here. I'm wondering how he can see where he's gone. He might be peering through the little space above the hood and below the hood, if you know what I mean.
I thought he'd have his head out the window. I don't know. Wow.
I mean, I think it's like this.
I just stay straight.
He's kind of like got that much space. All right, we got to move on. This is what I wanted to show. That's, I think, it's what he was doing, Jen.
I think you're right.
Jen Westhoven's here. Today, the fate of Chrysler and hundreds of its auto dealers is at the hands of a federal bankruptcy court. A lot of details here, Jen, that are making people go, wait, hold on a second. You're turning the house upside down.
There are a lot of people who are on fire about this. You'd think, well, it's bankruptcy for Chrysler. What's the big deal? But the way that the court is selling off Chrysler's assets is expected to turn long-established bankruptcy law on its head. Because what they're doing is, instead of taking the assets and selling them off in an orderly fashion, they're planning to pull out some of Chrysler's crown jewels, some of the best factories and dealerships, and the money from them does not go to the people who lent the money. Instead, these assets get sold to a new company. It'll be the new Chrysler. It's partially owned by the union.
And there's nearly a pecking order, right? And you're saying they're saying, oh, no, we're going to mix it up.
That's why this is such a big deal. Normally, what happens is the secured creditors, people who lent money because they knew, they said, well, look, we're only lending you money if we get, money back. They're secured creditors. They get first dibs. They get paid first. That's why they lend. But the White House is changing all of this by taking those prize assets out. So the fear is it could be a lot harder in the future if you have a struggling company who's going to lend them money.
Right. Because they are building in that risk. They know, hey, I'm getting my money first, as you're saying.
Right. If you think about it, like you buy a stock, it could go way up. It's a stock, high risk, high reward. A bond, very low reward, but it's supposed to be low risk. Now they got a big risk on their hands.
Okay. We'll see what happens. That's going to be a big debate. Thanks, Jen. President Obama says he does not want to waste any time getting Judge Sonia Sotomayor confirmed to the Supreme Court. But some are saying, hey, not so fast here for a federal judge today as well. One expert, Jen Westhoven, is following what are very important stories for many across the Midwest and the country.
Hi, thanks, Richard. And as a U.S. taxpayer, get ready. You're going to own another company probably within a week. General Motors expected to file for bankruptcy by Monday. So that means the government, you essentially, control 70% of GM. And the government is likely to fork over a lot more of your money, reportedly at least $50 billion, to keep the company running. Now, over at Chrysler, its fate, along with hundreds of its dealers, in the hands of a bankruptcy judge in New York. Why the breakup has conservatives fuming and could make things harder for any company in trouble in the future. We'll have that in a few minutes. Richard.
Okay, thanks a lot, Jen. Many Republicans are likely to fight the nomination of Judge Sonia Sotomayor to the Supreme Court. Senator Mitch McConnell saying he wants her record thoroughly examined and an opportunity to debate her qualifications. The Democratic chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, Patrick Leahy, praised her record, and people from her neighborhood in New York were excited about this nomination.
Get Dentemp.
We have new comments right now from a Republican on the Senate Judiciary Committee about Supreme Court nominee Sonia Sotomayor. Now, the Democratic Committee Chairman Patrick Leahy praised her record, but some Republicans have said that they want to talk about that record and put her in the hot seat.
She's entitled to a fair slate now, a clean slate, a fresh start, to examine her entire record in context and give her a chance to explain that. But there are some troubling things that are going to have to be inquired into for us to do our job so the American people can know that whoever is on the U.S. Supreme Court will be faithful to the law passed by the people of the United States.
Confirmation hearings could begin in July. Attorneys for O.J. Simpson are asking the Nevada Supreme Court to throw out his armed robbery and kidnapping conviction. Here's Rafer with more on that story. Good morning.
Good morning, Robin. Yeah, his attorneys are arguing that O.J. did not get a fair trial, saying that the judge didn't do enough to make sure the former football star's murder trial didn't factor into the ruling on this most recent trial where he was sentenced up to 33 years. The defense also argues there was not enough racial diversity on the jury. Now, the judge, of course, cannot comment on this. Experts say appeals in Nevada can take up to a year. There's obviously no way of knowing how the justices will rule. We'll have more in sports in a few minutes. Robin?
Thank you. How would you like your own personal wake-up call from this team?
Hello. Well, Bob will call you live on the air, and he'll give you a specialized forecast just for your own backyard. And we'll do it on the air, but you kind of have to be persuasive about why you're the person we should call. So go to CNN.com/Robin, and there is a link there. Right now, thousands of ties have been made public. Today, the fate of Chrysler and hundreds of its auto dealers is in the hands of a federal bankruptcy court. And our money expert, Jennifer Westhoven, has the latest developments on that story. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Robin. And this is going to be an interesting session for bankruptcy court, if only because it's expected to turn bankruptcy law on its head. The judge is expected to be selling off the assets, but also pulling some of Chrysler's crown jewels out of the sell-off process. So the best factories and dealerships, instead of selling them and giving that money to people who lent money to Chrysler, it's instead going to sell them to a new Chrysler in a way that benefits the union. And the union's not a secured creditor. This is something that's got a lot of the talk radio and talk TV shows on fire because it breaks something that's called the rule of law, the established bankruptcy law that says when it comes to a company going bankrupt and being sold off, first, you pay the secured creditors. They get first dibs. They get paid first. That's why they lent the money in the first place. But under this, the White House is basically taking out some of these prize assets and leapfrogging the secured creditors. You may think, well, what are secured creditors? Where in some cases, they are pensions for firefighters and teachers. So this could make it a lot harder in the future for companies that are in a hard time to borrow money. Nobody may be willing to lend them money if they think that all the rules are going to get thrown out the window in the bankruptcy court. The light at the end of the tunnel after 16 months of the worst recession in 50 years. Most economists say they think it's going to end this year. That is some good news in a bad economy. In a new survey, 3 out of 4 economists predict the recession will end sometime this summer, July, August, or September. They still think that the job market's going to be tough, but they do see things getting better. If you are out traveling today, maybe you're already at the airport watching us there now. You want to know about what's going to be affecting it. Rain, apparently, on the East Coast. Morning, Chris.
Yeah, probably a lot of people kind of booing at the TV set right now because what I have to say isn't going to be good. Because the eastern half of the country, you're seeing a lot of rainfall, and that means a lot of problems. Let's go ahead and take a look at your Sabre Flight Explorer right now. 4,000 flights are in the air. You're going to see delays, already seeing delays in Atlanta, spreading up the East Coast toward New York. Atlanta, D.C., showers and thunderstorms. You're seeing fog this morning in D.C. Cincinnati.
Let's do it beforehand. Here's our money expert, Jennifer Westhoven. Hi.
Hi. Yeah, later today, Consumer Federation of America going to be talking about this. A third of U.S. adults get a fake check at some point. Maybe you're going to get one in your mailbox. It is tempting to cash it, but don't. There's probably a big trick involved here. One big rule, look, if you get something that says you won a foreign lottery, just throw it out. That is almost always phony, 99.99999% of the time, and the other chance is you're going to get ripped off. The way these go, the scams, you deposit the check and they say, oh, that's just a small part of your winnings. If you want the rest of the money, just wire us, a couple $100. It looks tiny if you think you're going to win $1 million. But guess what? There is no $1 million. That first check was fake too, and they get to keep your couple $100. There are also a lot of check scams around work-at-home jobs where they send you a check for your first week's pay. These checks bounce, and if you wire money, it is very hard to trace that. So don't fall for it. Do not wire money to strangers. We are really watching very closely all the latest developments for GM and Chrysler. The latest for GM, well, the Detroit Free Press, which is GM's hometown paper, it says that the White House is widely expected to put GM into bankruptcy around next Monday's deadline. Remember, behind the scenes, GM has a board, but the White House is basically directing everything here. They don't expect bondholders to agree to give up billions of dollars that they've lent to GM. So when GM comes out of bankruptcy, it will be 70% government owned. What a shift for a company that has really changed daily life for a lot of us. GM basically founded auto financing, making it, easy for almost anyone to be able to try and buy a car. That was a big change for our society, and it's that kind of modeling that they used that mortgages got really popular after that as well. That kind of new financial system where people could make these monthly payments without putting like 70% down.
I get this vision of, the designers come up with a car model and then having to go to the president to approve it. I know it's not the way it's going to be, but it is, 70% national.
Yeah, this is such a different. Some people are saying, I think I saw one quote where an analyst said that the death of American capitalism, the battle was lost. It was surrendered at the GM boardroom when they caved into the government.
Wow.
One opinion.
Right, exactly. All right, lots of people reach for a Red Bull, right? For a quick pick-me-up, don't you? Well, why the energy drink, though, is being taken